You want me to share it out?
You can, man. Definitely share the stream. What's going on, guys? Jake Jalbert here with Jalbert Brothers, and we are the Not Fucking Around crew, and we're with a guy that does not fuck around, Mr. Brad Lea. How we doing, man?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be you.
Be me? Nah, man, I want to be you, man. So I saw Brad Lea at the 10X Growth Con, which was amazing, which was awesome. And you are a sales expert, man. You built a company, Lightspeed. I mean, millions of dollars. So I kind of want to take it back to kind of the beginning of, because we're high school dropouts. Me and my brother dropped out of high school, and you kind of have a similar story, man. Take us back to kind of where it started with you and kind of your journey. We'll kind of start there.
We're back to high school?
High school, man. Yeah.
Well, man, high school, I dropped out, I think, in the 11th grade, funny enough, to go be a movie star. Figured I would run down to Hollywood, get my ass in the pictures. I had a starring role in a movie, and 3 days before production, the producer's son got out of drug rehab, took my part, and that's the first introduction to nepotism. So ultimately, I thought, man, this is bullshit. So they ultimately said, whoever pays for the movie, it kind of gets to decide who's going to be in it. So right. I thought, well, I'll just go make $1 million real quick and I'll be back. I just didn't know it'd take, 25, 30 years.
Right.
So I dropped out of school. I think it was just the beginning of the 11th grade because I thought I was going to be a movie star. I said, who needs school? I'm going to go be a movie star. I'm going to be famous.
Right.
Hey, tell me where to share this thing real quick.
Share it on your page. Share it on your page. We're on Jalbert Brothers.
Spell it.
So Jalbert. It's a black and white picture. Two guys standing in the scene.
There you are. Now I got you.
Yeah, man.
All right, proceed, my man.
Cool, man. So you did that. You were like, you know what? I'm just gonna go make the money and do my own thing. That was kind of your strategy, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How important this conversation's on enjoy the art, master the business. Why is the business part of it so important? I mean, like you said, you want to be an actor. Is it just acting, or is it the business that's gonna propel you to where you need to be as far as knowing sales and knowing marketing? How important is that?
It's very important regardless. I mean, I don't care what business you're in. You have to master sales because it's you're selling yourself to a financier, someone that wants to pay for the movie. I mean, sales is important in any business. I would master sales before anything and everything. So when I dropped out of school to go be a movie star, I went down to LA, ended up basically, sleeping on the beach, auditioning a few times and just didn't like the fact that, I wasn't making any cash. I was like struggling, and I thought, man, the guy that produces the movie gets to decide. So let me just stop acting for a minute and let me go make some money, and then I'll be back and I'll make a movie. So once I left LA to do business, I was already dropped out of school. So I just, hit the workforce.
Okay, and how did Lightspeed come? How did you start getting into that company? What made you want to get into that?
I invented it out of necessity. I was running a car dealership, and I was one of the baddest on the block, man. I could run a car dealership like nobody's business. So a lot of other car dealers wanted me to come and train their staff on how they could operate a dealership like me. Salespeople could close like me, present a lease like me, things like that. So I just decided to quit my job and go out and start a training company because they were willing to pay me $5,000 or $10,000 a day to go train. And I was thinking at that time it was a lot of money. Then when I hit the road to do it, I started to realize that people weren't learning because learning takes repetition and learning takes accountability. And I was only there for a day or two at the most, and there wasn't time for repetition. I couldn't hold them accountable. and it wasn't working very well. Although I was taking the person's money. Well, a lesson I learned when I was a kid is, man, you got to over deliver, and there always has to be a win-win, because if there's a win-lose, it's not going to last very long. So I knew that there wasn't a win-win because they were paying me my fee, and I knew that their people weren't really learning. I mean, that was the traditional method. I could have gotten away with it, but I just wanted to make sure that I was doing the job I was getting paid for. So I created the system for me originally and my training. And once I delivered that training, it started to work because it was given the repetition and the testing and the accountability. And then ultimately ran into some competition. They would say, we use this person or we use that person. Grant Cardone, we use Grant Cardone. And I kept saying, bro, my stuff's better than his. And they just, they were fans, man. They were loyal. And a lot of the times, people are loyal to the people that they learn from. So I decided to, approach these other trainers rather than to compete with them. I thought they've got to be having the same trouble I'm having. They've got to be facing the same challenges. So let me show them my platform and see if they want to go get those accounts that I can't get and just give me what I call a sliver to deliver rather than compete with them. And fortunately, they did have the same challenges as I did. And so shit worked out.
Yeah, no, I like that, man. That's cool, man. So yeah, sales is huge, man. Building trust in any business. So I want to talk about like building trust and how that incorporates sales and how important that is to, in any business, being a film producer or an actor, building the relationships, longevity relationships that last and you can work together throughout that. How important is that? And throughout your journey, building relationships, how did you go about it?
Well, bro, I mean, come on. You don't have to ask that question. You know the answer. Nobody likes a bullshitter. Nobody likes to do business with somebody that they don't trust. And if you lie and don't do what you say you're going to do and you have no integrity, people aren't going to trust you. So you already knew the answer before you asked it. It's incredibly important if you want any longevity. I mean, you can go out and throw out some bullshit and make some quick money, but it won't be lasting.
Right. No, that's no. I want them to hear it too. Because I feel like in any business, building those relationships are key. Especially with sales, knowing how to approach somebody and sell them in a certain way. How'd you get into sales?
I got a job when I was younger. My parents always told me to get a real job. So I decided to go out and look for a real job, and I ended up getting a job fighting forest fires. And when I showed up the next day, it was $20 an hour. I'll tell you, man, that was a lot of money back in those days. $22 an hour, and I showed up, and it wasn't fighting forest fires where it sounded all cool. It was basically me with a big 10-pound bag of water on my back, walking up and down the mountainside looking for stumps that were still smoldering so they didn't reignite another fire. The firefighters already went through without me. I was like the punk in the back with the freaking piss bag. That's what they called it. And I'm pumping up and down these mountains, busting my ass, scraping my arms. It was miserable. And ultimately, I got a little patch of poison oak on my arm. So I went into the supervisor and I said, look, I can't work. I got a little poison oak on my arm. And he took off his shirt, or basically opened up his shirt and showed it to me. It was all over his body. And he said, man, that's part of this job. Get back out there. And, right there was the defining moment where I said, dude, you don't have to bust your ass to make money. Like I'm not doing this shit. So I quit right on the spot. I knew everybody was going to give me crap about it, but I quit. So that day I opened up the newspaper. I was 17 years old. I saw an ad in the newspaper that said, basically come sell cars. So I went in there and told him I was 18 because you had to be 18. And I was about, 4 months from being 18. So I went in to sell cars. In my first month, I sold more cars than anybody at the dealership. Second month, I sold more cars than anybody at the dealership. And then the third month, the GM brought me into the office and said, how old are you? I said, 17. He said, well, you have to be 18 to work here. I said, I do? He said, come on, man, you already know better than that. And I said, well, yeah, I didn't know what to say. He caught me. So he leaned over, said, how many cars you got out right now? I said, 16. This was about half the month. And he said, well, keep your mouth shut. Quit telling people you're 17 and, just get out there and sell cars. So basically he didn't care because I was selling cars, and I thought, hey, I'm pretty successful here. So I just stayed. Plus they gave you a free car to drive. Back then they gave what's called demos, where you basically just got a free car to drive, and I needed a car. So selling cars, wearing a suit, no more poison oak, no more back-taking work, just smiling and talking people into buying cars. And in fact, they weren't coming to a lot to buy own. Selling cars isn't that different. That's what got me into sales. Of course, when I was 6 years old, I also sold candy bars, 6 or 7, and I forget what grade it was, but I was young selling candy bars into the old door-to-door when they were raising money for the school. Came up with a pretty good line, did real well selling candy bars. So I've always kind of been into sales, but that was my first actual sales job. Williams Wilson Pontiac Volkswagen, Eugene, Oregon.
Nice. Have you always felt like you were just born driven? Did you become driven? Was it something that was instilled in you when you were younger? As far as just going at it,
Yeah, everybody's got a reason to want that success. I think my reason was because we lived up on a hill in a little house surrounded by big houses. So I always kind of felt ashamed that we weren't like as rich as the neighbors. It used to be, because I learned a lot of lessons as a kid. So fortunately that kind of carried into my adulthood and lent itself well to building businesses. So, the sales skills that I had, learning not to bullshit people. When I was a kid, I used to lie to all my friends to make them think we were rich like they were. I used to tell them my dad owned Disneyland. I used to show them, the Monopoly cards, the Monopoly deeds, and say that my dad owned those, and ultimately found out very quickly that nobody likes a bullshitter. So, I'd lie if the truth sounded better. So I stopped lying. But mainly, I was ashamed that I wasn't rich like everybody else. And so, I just wanted to always be rich, just from a little kid. I think because I looked around and saw everybody else had money and we didn't.
So it was like a burning desire that was instilled in you.
Yeah. Well, listen, people that say money doesn't buy happiness, that's just some cliche to make you feel better because you don't have any money. Every time I get a big fat check, I'm as happy as hell. So, what they're trying to tell you is money's not the only thing. And I agree with that. I'd rather be broke, healthy, and, great family, great friends than rich and alone with some rash on my balls.
Hey, man, that's how it is. What is
some warts popping out, right? So money's not everything, but it definitely does make you happy. Dude, if I just gave you 50 grand, would you be happy?
I'd be very happy.
Okay,
I can give you my bank account.
Problem solved. What's that?
I said, I'll give you my bank number at the end of this. We can make that happen.
All right.
What is one big sales?
Tell your people to share this out, dude. You only got 29 viewers.
Definitely, man. Yeah, whoever's watching this, share this out for sure. What is one big sales tip that you would give them?
A big sales tip?
Excelled you that's to a level.
Well, you got to understand one thing. First of all, any of the haters that are going to say, well, that's not true. It's totally true. And here's the answer. Buyers are liars. As soon as you believe that, you're 1,000 times better off. Okay. Buyers are liars. I'll go to the mall. I'll look at something. If I don't want to buy it for some reason, I don't want to just say I'm not interested because the person, did a little work. So I feel guilty. So I say, I'm going to go get my wife. She's at a store down the road there. And guess what? She's not even in the mall. I'm just straight up lying because for some reason I don't have the balls to say I'm not interested. Well, guess what? So do other buyers. So as soon as you understand that buyers are liars in that regard, you'll be 1,000 times better off. Second thing you should understand is learn how to ask good questions and listen to the answers. And you have to listen and listen closely. A lot of people don't listen. You want me to give you a test to see if you can listen?
Yes.
All right. Listen closely. Bob's mom has 3 kids. The first one is Demetrius. The second one is Nicholas. What's the third one's name?
I don't know.
That's because you weren't listening. I'll say it again. Now listen this time. Bob's mom has 3 kids. The first one is Nicholas. The second one's Demetrius. What's the third one's name?
Bob?
That's right. See, you listen the second time. You have to listen that closely every time you ask questions to a customer and listen to the answer, because the customer will tell you exactly how to sell them that product and what product to sell. So most salespeople, they don't shut their mouth long enough to listen, and they also don't ask enough questions to find out how to build value for their product that the customer finds valuable. Give you an example. I used to walk into car dealerships to train salespeople, and I'd say, who's the best salesperson? You know, one of the best salespeople would walk up, and I would say, sell me that chair. And they'd, walk over to the chair and start telling me how great it was and how durable it was built and how comfortable it was and how long it's going to last. And man, they were selling value, right? But they didn't ask me any questions. So when they finally got done being a salesman, which most people think salesmen is just, talking. But when they were done being a salesman, I said, well, the judge ordered me to get my ex-wife a chair in the divorce. So I owe my wife a chair in the divorce. And now what? See, he just built up all this value for a chair and he didn't sell me on it. Why? Because I was looking for a crappy chair. I was looking for an uncomfortable chair. I was looking for a cheap, crappy, miserable chair. Now, if he would have asked me, what's the chair for? And I would have said, I got to get my wife a chair for my divorce. Oh, well, this one will probably work. It's not going to last very long, and it's extremely uncomfortable. You see the difference?
Yeah.
See, so most people don't ask questions, and they don't listen to the answer. So even if they do ask questions, they're not listening. And then people that don't ask questions and don't listen, they're the ones that are most screwed. So
ask the right questions and listen.
Ask the right questions, listen to the answer, man. I always say it like this, man. If you're going to go off into war and you're buck naked and every question you ask the customer gave you a weapon, how many questions would you ask?
Tons.
Yeah, you'd ask a bunch of questions. Why? Because you want to be loaded up for bear. You want to be able to freaking annihilate people. So if you're going to go off to war, a sale is a war. Someone's going to win, man. Either they sold you or you sold them, one of the two. So at the end of the day, man, you ask good questions, you listen to the answers. It's going to tell you exactly how to put that value in that product that person has. Because the only way your transaction is made is when you can increase the value of your product higher than their value of their money. And the only way to build value in a product is to find out from the customer how to do that. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I love that, man. What would you say to someone just starting out? What would you say to someone just starting out in a business to kind of catapult them and get them in the right direction?
Well, I would tell them patience is not a virtue. I would tell them to be impatient. Patience can kill you. So at the end of the day, man, don't be patient. Don't settle. Hold yourself accountable and, just get started. I mean, a lot of people won't take a chance. The other day I was asked, what's the biggest risk I've ever taken? My answer was, I don't think I really take risks. I mean, at the end of the day, I see opportunities and I take them or I seize them. Most people see opportunities as risks. Because they're focusing on what they might lose rather than focusing on what they might gain. So focus,
Right.
keep your eyes on the prize and take action, man. Ideas without execution are worthless.
Yeah. What keeps you going, man? What keeps you doing what you do, you know?
Because I'm not where I'm going, bro.
You're not where you're going.
When you wake up, that's like saying when you wake up in the morning, you got to go freaking take a deuce. What keeps you going to the bathroom? Why don't you just stop in the middle of the hallway? Or hell, why don't you just shit the bed?
Shit the bed. We don't want to clean up shit on the bed. So
no, you head to the bathroom because you got business to take care of, right? You don't stop in the middle of the kitchen and take your shit. You get to where you're going, and that's what keeps me going, bro. And I'm not taking a shit. I'm making $1 billion. Until I got $1 billion, I'm not stopping for anything.
I love it, man. I love the drive and the motivation. Talk a little bit about marketing. How important is marketing in any business, whether it's an art business, whether it's, you know, you're a film producer, whether you're selling cars?
Well, there's a difference between marketing and selling, and they're both equally important. You have to market in order to sell. You can prospect. Technically, that's a form of marketing, but marketing is very important for any business.
So someone who doesn't have any money and wants to get started, what would you say to them?
Wants to get started doing what?
Doing anything, man. Opening a business, you know, they got no money. Where do they go? What do they do?
Well, you don't necessarily need money to start a business, man. You need heart, and you need to be willing to be uncomfortable, and you need to be willing to work. If you're willing to work, you're willing to be uncomfortable, you don't necessarily need a bunch of money. Not only that, I'd say get a damn job and save up some money. Work for someone else who does have money. You know, get on somebody's coattail that's you know, cruising to the moon. Jump off at another time if you're bound and determined to be an entrepreneur. You know, but at the end of the day, if you have zero money, what would I tell people? I'd say find some damn money. Borrow it, work for it, save it. You know, or just be willing to be uncomfortable. I mean, I started with really no money, so. But you have to have some money. I mean, dude, it costs money to form a business. It costs money to, you know, pay the state in order to operate. It costs money for gas. It costs money for your cell phone. So you have to have some money. But you don't need venture capital. You don't need a big loan. You need a good idea and some execution.
I love it, man. No, that's awesome, dude. That's I think I got everything from you I needed, man. That was a great interview.
Damn, dog. That was quick.
That was quick. We can do some more, man, if you want. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know,
man. You hit a lot of good points, in my opinion, man. They just got to listen to understand it.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, you know, that's a fact. But closing, I think, you know, the better you are to you know, learn closing. You know, closing is very simple. Usually when someone gives you an objection, okay, 9 times out of 10, it's a lie. It's not even real. And then salespeople or younger or less experienced salespeople, they don't understand that is a lie and an excuse. That's why I said you have to understand buyers are liars, because usually the objection you're getting is not even real. And then you try to close on that objection and they don't close, and you wonder what you did wrong. And what you did wrong is you believed that really was the reason they said no. So you got to get good at smoking out the real objection. And there's techniques in doing that, which is usually solve the problem. So if I wanted to sell you something, more than likely, if you told me you want to think about it. Well, what is it you're going to think about? Now you're going to start lying. You're going to start throwing out excuses. You're going to BS me a little bit. Well, if I'm good at navigating around there without pissing you off, and again, asking good questions, providing good solutions to the problems that you're telling me, if my solution doesn't solve your problem, it's more than likely not the real objection, or it's not the only objection. And in order to close a deal successfully, you just have to remove all their objections. You got to get good at it.
I agree. So, we have a lot of filmmakers on our channel, film producers, and people that want to pitch projects. So when they're pitching a project, trying to close, I guess, an investor. So that's what you're saying would be the best way.
Well, it depends. I mean, every situation that applies to. But again, I mean, if you guys have good scripts, I'm going to fund a movie, but you got to be prepared for me to be in it.
Right.
I'm going to be in it. So I'm not going to fund any script where there ain't a part for a freaking badass.
So it's a win-win on your part. You be in it, you fund it, we produce it.
Yeah,
so it's a win-win. So are you still trying to
all I'm looking for is a good script, a Tarantino style script. Good dialogue, good character, good story. A part for me in it. I don't have to be the star, but I have to be definitely, a pretty big part, because in my book, that's the only way I'm funding it.
Oh, yeah.
But if someone were to call me and sell me, like, they couldn't sell me on any movie to make money. So, like, nobody could call me and sell me on investing in a movie simply to make money. I see, take all those lessons I talked about. If someone called me up and started asking me questions and found out everything I just told you, they could sell me by saying, dude, I wrote this for you. This whole story is about this. And then, of course, the product has to be good. So you're not going to sell someone that doesn't want to buy it, and you're not going to close someone who doesn't think it's a valuable product. So obviously it's got to be a good script, but then boom, someone would close me. Same thing with anything, whether you're buying cars, artwork, clothes, anything. I mean, who wants to buy a crappy product from someone they don't like?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. So definitely do your research is what you're saying. That's the big thing that we teach is, do your research on the person that you're trying to pitch, who you're talking to, and find out what their why is. Why would they, be a part of the project? So your biggest thing is, getting a role in the movie that's good and a script that you like would sell you.
Yeah, when everybody says what their why is, that equals a word called value. So everybody's why is value. Like, my why might be to save children. Well, why? Because I value saving children. So if you attach being in that movie to saving children, for example, that would be my why, which is a buzzword. But in reality, my why is my value. Why do I want to? What worth is there? That's my value. You find somebody's value and you build the value in whatever it is you're selling, they'll buy it.
I agree,
hey,
man.
You on this Be Live, do you see the chat and everything from that people are doing?
Yeah, I see people that are saying some stuff.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Brad Lea here about, sales or anything else? Let's hear some questions from you guys. People are saying hi.
Sales, it can be about life, women, relationships.
Women. All right, I got a question. How do you close a beautiful woman?
Well, that's a great question.
How do you close it?
Well, again, I don't think you should be trying to close a woman. I think you should be being yourself, and hopefully she's attracted to that. Because if you close the deal when it comes to a woman, what's that technically mean? You banged her? I mean, is that what you're looking for? Is the banger? Or are you trying to marry her?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, people have different things, so I guess,
Yeah, but like, to get a good-looking girl, man, you need to be yourself, and you need to be unique, and you need to be confident. Girls, especially hot girls, I've seen a lot of hot girls with ugly dudes. And then you meet the dude, and the dude's as confident as you wouldn't believe. He's usually funny, and 9 times out of 10, he's in shape. But, I've seen out-of-shape dudes with hot-looking girls too. Why? Because they're funny, confident, and they made them fall in love with them, I think, through their confidence. So that's a loaded question. You show me the girl, and I'll give you some advice. You trying to marry her? Carrie Ann Tobin, how you doing? She wants to know, what's the biggest adventure I've ever done?
You gone skydiving? I was skydiving a year or two ago.
No, I would say the biggest adventure was one time we were sneaking into a Grateful Dead concert down in Irvine Meadows. And so we just decided to sneak in and we walked through lion country in the middle of the night.
Okay.
It's crazy. Or going 176 in a car around the racetrack. That was pretty crazy.
That would be cool, yeah. Sure. Value, yeah, films. Let's see what we got here.
What's up, Carrie Ann Tobin? I will say hi to Melissa and the girls.
The girls. What are you up to now, man? What's your big adventures now? What are you trying to do? What are your goals now?
Man,
what are your big
I'm making an adjustment. I'm pivoting. Bringing out some new features on our system, bringing in a lot of social media integration, coming up with some new features that will, I think, revolutionize several different industries. It'll revolutionize the training space once again, because again, man, you got to continually innovate. You know, the lead dog is the only one who has a scene change. You ever heard that saying that says scene doesn't change unless you're the lead dog?
I have not, but I heard things similar to that.
Yeah, like if you have a sledding team, there's one dog in the front, the rest of them are behind, and they're all behind each other. So unless you're the lead dog, the scene never changes, man. So you got to stay out front.
Stay ahead of the curve.
That's what I'm doing, man. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. That's why I'm here on a Saturday in my office when a lot of people are home snuggling. They're snuggling with their loved ones. They're not willing to sacrifice. Let me give you a fact. If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice.
Why do you think so many people fall into the trap of not taking that big risk? That's what I found. Most people are very scared, you know?
Yeah, it's self-doubt usually, bro. Yola wants to know if you guys are filming movies.
We are. We're actually editing one right now. I got my guy Nick editing a film. So we have a couple projects in the works, actually. We're going to write a script around Brad Lea here and put him in a role. Work that out.
That's right. But to answer your question, bro, people have self-doubt, man. They focus on what they're going to lose rather than what they're going to gain.
How do you pull people out, or do they have to be willing to pull themselves out?
Well, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have to pull themselves out. I mean, at least in my world, mommy and daddy ain't coming. Government isn't coming. Nobody's coming to my rescue. You might as well just get it done. See, most people need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and then they'll start to realize that it's not that uncomfortable. Matter of fact, you know, most rich people, they're the ones willing to do what they don't want to do. And a lot of times people think, I want to be rich so I don't have to do anything I don't want to do, when in reality, to get rich, you have to do the opposite. I don't want to be here on a Saturday. I'd rather be hanging out with my girl and my 2 little ones, having a barbecue, swimming in the pool, going shopping, traveling, go over to Greece. A friend of mine's in Italy right now, making me jealous because he's over there in Rome, chilling out. I could fly over there real quick. Guess what? I'm here grinding, working. Why? Because it's Billy time, son. I ain't taking that shit yet.
Do you feel more complete when you're working as opposed to, you know, going to a bar, having a couple of drinks? Do you feel better when you're working, you know, gaining every single day?
No, I do both, man. People that say you can't go to a bar and have a couple drinks, they're just like obsessive, I guess. I mean, dude, enjoy life. It ain't that long, man. Go to the bar and have some drinks. But while you're at the bar having drinks, look for some prospects, network, look for some relationships that you should create to further your business. Why can't going to the bar be productive?
Yeah, no, I agree. The biggest thing that I took away in Miami for the 10X Growth Con was get attention. How important is that? Everyone talked about that. In my notes, every page was get attention.
Well, that's because money follows attention. Dude, if you were Steven Spielberg's kid, how hard would it be for you to make movies?
Not very hard.
That's because you're Steven Spielberg's kid and everybody knows who you are. Okay, money follows attention, man, period. There's no doubt in that. If you can get 7 billion people to watch your video on YouTube, you'll be rich. Look at Tai Lopez.
Tai Lopez is killing it.
Killing it. People hating on Tai, talking about that's a rented Ferrari, that's a fake Lamborghini. Man, shut up. Dude, Tai Lopez, whether he faked it, he made it. Either way, dude, Tai Lopez is hanging out with the ladies, driving the Benzos, the Ferraris, the Rolls Royces, living in a big-ass house, traveling the globe. I mean, dude, who can hate on Tai Lopez? Oh, his shit's fake. Dude, his shit ain't fake. He wouldn't have had it that long. You can't rent shit that long. And even if you do, you got a lot of money if you can rent that shit that long.
That's funny.
Don't be hating on Tai Lopez. Don't be hating on Gary Vee. Don't be hating on people out there doing it.
Yeah, I feel like you got to take what's good in what they're doing. So what's the good in what, Vanderchuk, what's the good in Tai Lopez? What are they doing? Getting attention? Maybe.
Oh, dude, so they're doing it. Like they're not watching YouTube looking for answers. They're doing it. Like, I'm sure that, again, they observe, they watch, they see, they take in. So yes, you do want to do that. But man, they're out there doing it, dude. Gary Vee's not sitting here wondering what me and you were talking about, dude. And I guarantee you he's not sitting at his house watching some Facebook Live, trying to figure out the answer. He's out there busting his ass, shaking hands. The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Do you read a lot?
Not as much as I'd like.
Not as much as Tai Lopez?
No. Definitely not as much as Tai Lopez. But again, I mean, listen, the old cliche that, the biggest CEOs read more than anybody. Listen, knowledge is in books, right? So if knowledge is in books, you should read books. But the problem is this is like 2017 going on 2020, and there's knowledge in other things besides books. There's interactive virtual training courses now. I much prefer those. There's, audios. There's other ways to learn than books. So I don't read as many books as I should or I'd want to, but I'm always learning. I'm constantly working and developing myself. Anyone should. All you young hustlers out there need to be working, seeking that knowledge, doing what you're doing right now, dude. You just reached out and you're like, hey, let me pick your brain. You froze. Am I still on? You there, bub? All right, there you are. You froze for a minute.
Still there?
Yep. Did you hear me? Can you hear me? You there?